Lily. How y'all doing today on this beautiful Saturday? Here in Atlanta, it is cold. I don't know about you all, but it is cold here. When I say cold, I mean it is cold. Whoo, it's cold here. But anyway, we are talking about Donald Trump. Yes, he is the man of the hour, Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump will be in the office starting in January. He will be inaugurated. When is it? The 24th, 25th, or something like that. I can't quite remember. But anyway, that's when he will be sworn in sometime the 20th something. I think it's Martin Luther King's birthday. So with him, I can't remember much. But anyway, we are discussing Donald Trump, all the things that he has going on. Right now, he is trying to have a squabble with the president of China. He's trying to back him up to a wall, and the president of China let him know, I'm not scared of you. I will pull all of my oil. You all will have no gas if it's up to me. So right now, the president of China has Donald Trump shaking in his pissity pants. But anyway, also, it's so much going on with Elon Musk, y'all. Donald Trump is allowing Elon Musk to think he's a president when he's not. Let me turn on my do not disturb because I keep getting pop-ups. Bear with me. Hey, how you doing? Hello. I am a woman. I was born female. I birthed a baby out of my vagina. I am a woman. I am not a male. Thank you. I'll be right back. I'm back. I had to turn on my do not disturb because for some reason I keep getting pop-ups. Hey, King Steve, how you doing? Hey, King M. Dot, how you doing? Hey, Skeleton. I don't know if that's a king or a queen, but thank you for coming to my live. Hey, King Bruce, how you doing? Thank you so much for your compliment. Also, if you like for me to read your comments once I get started, you have to super chat me and I will gladly read your comments, okay? Hello, Queen Vicky. Hello, Follow Fall. I don't know if it's a man or a woman, so I apologize. Umer, hi. Fan of Dorf kinship or something. I don't know how to say it. I apologize. Thank each and every last one of y'all for coming to my live. We are discussing Donald Trump, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, hit that like button. Likes are free. It doesn't cost you anything. If you would like for me to read your comments, send me a super chat and I will gladly read it. Thank you all. Okay, let's get this party started. Just a moment, please. Everything Donald Trump. A little Elon Musk is in there too. And the different presidents, probably the president from China, the president of Mexico, just throwing it all in there. Hey, King LaSwan, how you doing? Thank you for coming to my live.
Authorizes Donald Trump to recklessly impose a death penalty on any nonprofit in America that happens to be on his enemies list.
That's Democratic Representative Lloyd Doggett. He's arguing against a bill being considered in the House that would allow the Treasury Secretary to remove tax-exempt status from any nonprofit it deems a terrorist-supporting organization without any need for evidence. The proposal mimics laws found in dictatorial governments, and if enacted, it gives Trump another means to shut down critics. A coalition of more than 130 orgs oppose the measure, saying it's a tool the executive branch could use to curb free speech, censor nonprofit media outlets, target political opponents, and punish disfavored groups across the political spectrum. They also said it creates a high risk of politicized and discriminatory enforcement. That's especially true because the U.S. government's label of terrorist is often racially and politically motivated. The legislation originally failed on a suspension vote, which requires a 2/3 majority to pass. But a vote this week will only require a simple majority. And with Republicans in control of the House and 52 Democratic lawmakers showing support, it's almost sure to pass. Its chances in the Senate remain a bit more unclear. Democrats control that chamber, but only till January. Free Press Action Policy Counsel Jenna Rudock said, the language of the bill lacks any safeguards against abuse, making it likely that the incoming administration would use it to take revenge on groups that have raised questions about its abuse of power or otherwise angered the president. We're living in scary times.
This bill authorizes Donald Trump to recklessly impose a death penalty on any nonprofit that happens to be on his enemies list.
That Democratic Representative
already started somewhat with this because he is going at people that are on YouTube. He put in a lawsuit against Midas Touch Network, which you all know I love Midas Touch Network. Donald Trump put them in a lawsuit. He is suing them and Michael Cohen, blaming them for his 34 felonies. It doesn't make any sense. They are not responsible for you committing crimes, Donald Trump. Stop it. You are a fascist. You want to stop media. You want to stop people freedom of speech. But you said you think people have a right to freedom of speech because you were kicked off of Twitter. And when your boy Elon Musk bought Twitter, he brought you back on there. Why? Because he said freedom of speech. But you want to rip that right from us too. Woo, Donnie boy, really?
Election day was almost a month ago, but since a lot of these races take some time to count, NBC News was finally able to call the last race in the House. Democrat Adam Gray will flip the seat in California's 13th district, winning by a margin of less than...
One moment. Papa, sorry.
By a margin of less
Blue
than
sky.
200 votes, which just goes to show you that even if you don't live in a swing state, your vote still matters. This means Republicans will hold a razor-thin majority in the 119th Congress with 220 seats to the Democrats' 215, an even tighter margin than they're used to working with. And it's probably going to get even smaller, at least temporarily, since Trump picked 2 Republican members to serve in his administration. And Matt Gaetz says he will not join the next Congress after his failed bid for Attorney General. Meaning for the first couple of months, House Republicans will only be able to afford to lose just one single vote on legislation. This is all just further proof that this election was not the landslide or sweeping mandate that Trump and his MAGA cronies want you to think it was. Even in the popular vote, Trump is now below 50%. In fact, his margin of victory over Vice President Kamala Harris has shrunk to just 1.6%, which is smaller than that of every winning president since 1888, other than John F. Kennedy in 1960 and Richard Nixon in 1968. As Mehdi Hassan writes for The Guardian, Trump, the 49.9% president, doesn't represent the popular will. Yes, he won the election fair and square and won the popular vote for the first time. But if we are to prevent him from expanding his power in the Oval Office, we must resist this new Republican election lie. We must not allow him to pretend that he has some sort of special mandate for controversial policies and personnel. Election day was almost a month ago, but since a lot of these races...
But he will gloat in it and make you all think that he just took over because everybody just wanted to vote for him and that he just won the popular vote because he's the better person for the job. He's the better person to tell lies. He's a better person to put us in more debt. You'll see. Just watch. February gonna be a drought for us.
Learned a new word today, kleptocracy. It's a noun, and it means a government or state in which those in power exploit national resources and steal. A rule by thieves. Used in a sentence, it sounds like, you know you're living in a kleptocracy when new luxury cars fill government parking lots, but the roads remain full of potholes. Another example would be, kleptocracy isn't just theft. It's an entire system built to keep the rich richer and everyone else struggling to get by. Kleptocracy. You're welcome.
I never heard of it, but I think I like kleptocracy.
I learned a new word today.
Life is sometimes potholes, isn't it? Yeah. I'm just afraid it's going to get worse. Ooh.
I only like Donald.
Hold on.
I only like Donald Trump because of his economic plan.
Good moment,
And when I was getting
please.
my master's in economics, one of the things I realized exercise I like the most about it is that there just wasn't a lot of room for opinions and feelings, right? Like the facts and the data call the winners and losers. And then it was really simple. The only major piece of economic legislation that Trump actually passed when he was president was called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And the idea is that you give tax cuts to large corporations, not to middle class people. And then when they have all that extra money, they'll pay you more and they'll create more jobs. So he passed that piece of legislation. What happened? Not opinions and feelings, not what do I feel like happened. What did the data actually say happened? Benefits of the tax cut went almost exclusively to the owners, the executives, and the high-paid workers. Did middle-class wages go up? No.
AT&T plans to increase $1,000 special bonus to more than 200,000 U.S. employees, and that's because of what we did.
What actually happened? AT&T got that extra money and then cut somewhere around 30,000 jobs, and then they paid their executives way more money. In fact, nearly all of America's largest companies spent the majority of their tax cuts from Donald Trump on stock buybacks and dividends and not rewarding their hard workers. But Joshua, I remember the economy was great during the Trump years. First of all, the last 2 years were COVID, so you're only talking about freshman and sophomore year. And you remember freshman and sophomore year being good because he inherited an economy that was booming from Obama. He inherited a 2.4% GDP. He inherited an economy that was already adding around 200,000 jobs a month. He inherited an economy that was already declining in its unemployment rate. Plus, Obama, Biden, and Trump all gave America a stimulus check. Trump's just the only one to put his name on it. Don't be controlled by MAGA narratives. Think freely. Also, I just want to say this real quick. This idea of trickle-down economics, what I'm saying that Trump wants to do, it's not new. We're 44 years into trickle-down economics. 1% of America now owns 30% of the nation's wealth. 10% of America now owns 70% of the nation's wealth. It is not trickling down. It has never trickled down. It only ever trickles up. And we have an opportunity to stop doing this to ourselves. That opportunity is on the ballot. Donald Trump has been very clear. That is what he wants to continue, the tax cuts. Vice President Harris has been very clear that she wants to give middle-class America a leg up. Choice is yours. I only like Donald Trump because of his economic plan.
But people made their choice, and he will be in the Oval Office again coming January. He will be sworn in, I think, January the 20th, if I'm not mistaken. That is Martin Luther King's birthday. I have a dream, and it was not Donald Trump. It would have been more like Obama because he looks better. Obama is better on the eye. Yeah. Nice body. Yeah. Seeing Donald Trump with no shirt on? No. Obama with no shirt on? Yes. Oh, Elon. Oh,
Forced
Elon.
inflation is government overspending because the checks never bounce.
So you mean like the estimated $4.9 billion the government has overspent to subsidize you building your empire? That kind of overspending? Imagine that between grants and tax breaks and subsidized construction, discounted loans and environmental credits. The government has given this self-made billionaire nearly $5 billion. And that's just the US government. Globally speaking, Tesla might be one of the more heavily subsidized private corporations in history. Subsidies they receive almost entirely based on the idea that what they're doing is good for the environment. An assumption that seems to be ignoring the fact that the production of electric vehicles is actually approximately 2.5 times worse for the environment, which is not even remembering to mention the monumental amount of human suffering that goes into the production, which is something we don't even remember to mention way too often, if you ask me. Either way, if your priority really is protecting the environment, not buying a new car at all is probably the obvious choice. But of course, consumer capitalism doesn't like solutions that don't involve more consumption. The name kind of gives it away. And that's just Tesla. The state of New York subsidized the construction of a solar-powered energy plant on the grounds that it was going to create thousands of new jobs. But isn't that like your job? Job creator? Isn't that like the whole justification for why people like you exist? You know, you take the risk, invest the capital so you get the majority of the reward. If the taxpayer is subsidizing your risk, then why do you get the reward? Why do you get to play pretend capitalism with training wheels on when the rest of the world is out here actually working for a living? Now, despite what you said, I'm pretty sure another thing that causes inflation is perpetually increasing increasing the money supply, which happens when banks lend money. Yeah, banks don't lend their own money. They create credit money. So when you borrow money from a bank, it actually increases the money supply until the loan is paid back. Like when you had to borrow $13 billion because you accidentally talked your way into buying Twitter, failed to talk your way out of it, and couldn't afford to put your money where your mouth was. So I suppose you are kind of an expert on inflation. You're definitely personally responsible for creating more inflation than the vast majority of human beings that have ever lived.
The only thing that causes inflation is government overspending, because the checks never bounce.
What you mean, like the estimate?
Did y'all not know that Donald Trump, Dodge, whatever it's called, Elon Musk will be over that. And with that, he will be over the government funding. The man that get billions of dollars in government funding. Really? Why would you have him over it? You know he's going to give himself money. He's going to look out for himself and those billionaires. He's a billionaire. That's why he celebrated Thanksgiving with Donald Trump. He got to keep his eye on him. Make sure he keep him in that position so he can be in control of the money, all of the government funding. Elon is greedy and ashamed. He ain't self-made, apparently, because you got money from our American government. And you're not necessarily an American citizen. We're just getting used, y'all, and used and abused. They laughing at us.
Has told Donald Trump to pound salt, essentially saying that we are not going to be playing games this time around with Donald Trump. Now, this time, it is UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer who has been put into a position to choose between the European Union and the United States in the upcoming tariff war that Donald Trump is going to start. But he has pushed back and saying, no, we aren't picking sides. We're going to work together as allies, or we're not going to do it at all. And if you put me in a position that I have to choose sides, I won't be choosing you. Donald Trump could force the UK back into the European Union, strengthening that union against the United States on the economic stage. Now, this is the second world leader to push back against Donald Trump, the first being Mexico President Sheinbaum, who told the world that Donald Trump is a liar, that everything he said about their meeting just flat out wasn't true. And Donald Trump can probably expect more of this from other world leaders, as this time around, they do not appear to just make Donald Trump feel like he won something, that he's a big boy, and treat him like a toddler just to keep things smooth. They're going to continue to push back and call him out. This could be a rough 4 years for Trump.
Just as Elon Musk is not self-made, nor is Donald Trump. He got his money from his father, and he blew that. So he had to get entanglement with Russia. He was forced into entanglement because he blew his father's money. He's not self-made either. Elon, you get government funding. You're not self-made. And you're not a citizen. Biden, kick him out.
I'm not for the Department of Government efficiency going after veterans' health care to pay for billionaire tax handouts. I use the VA for my care, so do thousands of my constituents in Western Pennsylvania. And yet, DOE's proposes cutting $119 billion from veterans' health care. That is more than a third of the Department of VA's budget. That's all types of health care, surgical, specialty care, dental care, counseling for combat veterans, and more. It's ridiculous. My question to my friends on the other side of the aisle, to President-elect Trump and others, is this. Do you want to cut health care for veterans who risk their lives for this country? If not, you should say you don't. You should stand up against this. And if you do, folks like me are going to fight you every step of the way. This is the cost of war, and this country expects us to pay it. I'm not for the Department of Government efficiency going after veterans' health care to pay for billionaire tax handouts. I use the VA for my care, so do thousands of my constituents in Western Pennsylvania. And yet, DOE's proposes cutting $119 billion from veterans' health care. That is more than a third of the Department of VA's budget. That's all types of health care, surgical, specialty care, dental care, counseling for combat veterans, and more. It's ridiculous. My question to my friends on the other side of the aisle, to President-elect Trump and others, is this. Do you want to cut health care for veterans who risk their lives.
And guess who's over that? Elon Musk. He is cutting health care for veterans. My daughter is a veteran. Yes, she's a military vet. I don't like you, Elon, at all. Shall God come down and strike you down? Yes. Move fast, God. We need you. America needs
China
you,
just
God.
hit the U.S. with yet another blow by canceling $690 billion worth of exports. The sector of our exports that China is going to hit is our agricultural sector, and it's going to be a big one because we produce and send China about 60% of our soybeans. And that's already dramatically down since the 2017 tariffs that Trump imposed when he was in office last time. And those tariffs costed American farmers $4 billion in losses. In 2016, when Trump imposed his last tariffs, China dropped down their exports to 40%. Now they're dropping it down to 18%. And guess who they're going to get their soybeans from now? Brazil. That's right, a member of the BRICS nation. And if you remember, I just did a video the other day talking about how Trump was threatening the members of BRICS. Well, how's that working out for us now? If you are a Republican and you voted for Trump, let me tell you, you are about to regret it because the way that China is hitting us back to back with billions of dollars worth of impacts to our economy, you best to believe you're gonna feel that pain. China just hit the U.S. with yet another blow by canceling $690 billion.
He ain't even in office yet. And he's causing so much mental anguish to the people. We are the people. Why must we suffer? We pay our taxes faithfully. But you get what you voted for. I didn't vote for him. So we got to suffer because of y'all voted for him.
Much BS. I mean, I don't think Donald Trump has any intention whatsoever of levying any kind of tariffs on broad-based tariffs on Mexico or in Canada. He's going to take credit for all the border crossings that are already way down in the last year by 75%, according to our own statistics. He's going to say we solved the problem on day one by threatening to have these tariffs, and I got everything I wanted. No more fentanyl coming into the country. No more undocumented immigrants coming into the country. I stood up to Mexico. I stood up to Canada, so we don't need tariffs, because he knows full well that the minute he puts these tariffs into place, the economy is going to tank, and that's the last thing that he wants. So this is the same kind of bluster. I'm putting a marker down now before he comes into office, because that's exactly what's going to happen. He is going to go ahead and say that the problem was solved just by him being in office, just by him putting these threats out there. Yeah. And we are good to go on with our lives, and the economy is great, and he'll take credit for that as well. This is so much BS. I mean, I don't think Donald Trump...
We know Donald Trump's routine. He did it before when he was in office because he inherited Obama's good economy. Life was good for me, but let y'all tell it, it was better for you under Trump. Of course, because the first 2 years, he was living it up and celebrating on Obama's win, Obama's economy. He was enjoying it. We were enjoying it. Then the pandemic happened. And the truth is revealed. The mask is off, Dunny boy. We get to see how much you really care about the people. He didn't even tell y'all about the pandemic. He allowed us to suffer, and thousands and millions of people are unalive because of Donald J. Trump. MAGA's king, MAGA's savior. He didn't care enough about the American people. He allowed us to suffer.
This is absolutely horrible. Missouri lawmakers are proposing a bill that will turn people into bounty hunters to go after undocumented immigrants. This bill, SB 72, is being called the Missouri, I don't like using that word, Alien Certified Bounty Hunter Program. Now, this bill will certify someone as a bounty hunter for the specific purpose of finding and detaining immigrants without proper documentations. And if a citizen of Missouri reports anyone that they believe is undocumented, they could be given a $1,000 reward. This is absolutely horrifying, and let me explain to anyone who's thinking about doing this, you're not going to get your money. There was a $25 million reward for anyone who gave up Osama bin Laden, and one guy actually did it, and he got $0. The United States has a ridiculously low rate of actually paying out rewards. So again, I'm basically saying to anyone who's even considering this, if it goes into effect, that you're not going to get your money, but what you're going to do is ruin people's lives. There are only 70,000 undocumented migrants in Missouri, less than 1.1% of the state, and most of them are farm workers. So by doing this, one, people are just going to be racial profiling and going after people who are not undocumented. Two, ruining the local economy. And three, being snitches who are never going to get their money. But of course, none of that matters because people are still so brainwashed into thinking that migrants are the problem. This new era, it's really going to be state by state. So to the migrant community, stay out of Missouri. This is absolutely horrible. Missouri lawmakers are...
You know, I say Donald Trump he's bringing in the era of crime mob. Yeah. And because he's bringing in the era of crime mob, American people say, snitches get stitches. Snitches get stitches.
Trump and his family just in the last couple of weeks have made $22 million when a Chinese cryptocurrency mogul investigated and charged by the Securities and Exchange Commission invested $30 million into Donald Trump's companies. It's just one of dozens of ways that foreign countries and investors and those that are at odds with the United States are going to make money for Donald Trump and his family, and they are not going to sign an ethics code, nor are they going to restrain themselves in the second go-around. Donald Trump and his family just in the last couple of weeks have made...
What do we expect? What do we expect from a man that has 34 felonies? What do we expect? Come on. Stop pulling my leg. Stop peeing on my leg and telling me it's rain.
Popular commentator 4 weeks ago that I talked to that told me flat out before they knew any of the contents of the bill, nothing was out at that point, that told me flat out, if you try to move a bill that solves the border crisis during this presidential year, I will do whatever I can to destroy you. Because I do not want you to solve this during the presidential election. By the way, they have been faithful to their promise and have done everything they can to destroy me in the past several weeks. I had a popular commentator.
Again, we are going into an era of crime mob. Some of you are going to disagree with me. I expect that. You elected someone that has 34 felonies. You elected someone that has SA charges. You elected someone that has six bankruptcies. You elected someone that is in cahoots with Russia. You elected someone that is afraid of Vladimir Putin. He's scared of Putin. You elected someone that says he's going to be a strong man. No, he's not. He's none of those great things. He's never been a strong man. He's afraid of Putin. He wish he could be like the president of China, but he can't. Right now, he has cuffs on him from Elon Musk. And he has strings attached to him from Vladimir Putin. He is Putin's puppet. And because he is Putin's puppet, we, the American people, we are in deep shit. We are in trouble. Do you hear me? We are in trouble. Putin, he's pulling those strings, and Dunny is playing by his tune. Putin has that violin, and Dunny is dancing to his music. Oh, nasty dance, him and Elon. I wonder what they be doing at night. Because it's looking like Elon has taken Melania's spot. And Melania is much easier on the eye. If you can recall, look at a picture of Elon a couple years back. He done had a hair plugs. He didn't have, I guess, liposuction of the girdle on or something. Because you know Donny Boy wears a girdle. We in trouble, America. What y'all gonna do? I'm praying for us. Praying for a better day. Praying that God rain down his love on us because we're gonna need it. Thank each and every last one of you beautiful kings and queens for coming to my live. I love you all. And again, if you come back to my show and you want me to read your comments, you will have to super chat me. Please hit that like button before you head up out here. I love you guys. Have an amazing Saturday. Bye.